Hello and welcome to Galaxy Primetime News. My name is Nenwangi Mazaka. I will begin with the headlines. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, directs the Nigeria Police to transfer the case files of End Bad Governance protest suspect to his office. The Interministerial Technical Committee on Evaluation of Dams advocates for constructions of more dams to tackle flood challenges in Nigeria. On the foreign news, Spain's Prime Minister orders 5,000 more troops and police officers to Valencia region in response to the catastrophic flooding. Details of these and more will come to you shortly. To stay with us. And now the news in full. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, has directed the Nigeria Police to transfer the case file of End Bad Governance violent protest suspect to his office and hand over same to the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation today, Saturday, 2nd November 2024. The directive by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi was contained in a press statement signed by the Attorney General of itself and made available to our correspondent. Prince Lateef Fagbemi further directed the DPPF to immediately put machinery in motion for consideration of the court to bring the adjournment date forward from an earlier date. Fagbemi revealed that there are some issues his office need to look into regarding the matter for an informed decision to be taken. In another development, the Nigeria Police Force has responded to a recent incident in court where 6 out of 76 suspects reportedly fainted, a move suspected to be staged to draw negative media attention. So right now who will be joining us via Zoom. We have Titiloe Charles. He is the former Attorney General of Ondo State and a human rights lawyer. And he's joining us live from Akure. Thank you so much for joining us at this time, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening to you too. So going straight to the questions. Scenes of minors fainting while in court over the involvement in the widespread hashtag End Bad Governance protest has, sparked controversies over detention conditions and police violence. So are there specific provisions for ensuring minors' well-being while in custody? And are there any policies or protocols in place to ensure minors' rights are protected during detention?
Yes, under Nigerian law, minor are persons that are below 18 years. However, the criminal code allows trial of persons who are 12 years and above. So obviously that somebody is a minor does not mean he cannot face criminal trial. Once he's above 12 years, under the Criminal Code Act, he can face trial. And also, under the same criminal code, between the age of 7 to 12, once a prosecutor is able to establish that the minor knows what he's doing, he can also be held culpable of an offense. So there's no hard and fast rule in Nigeria that once somebody is a minor, he cannot face criminal trial. And on the issue of custody, during trial of minors, some jurisdiction in Nigeria have remand homes where they keep them, so that they keep them away from adults. They don't mingle with adults, so that if at the end of the day they are not found guilty of the offense, they might not have been corrupted by some adults. Some may be a very, very notorious criminal. So they keep them in remand home. And it's a safeguard to ensure that minor are not exposed to hardened criminal, and they are given opportunity to be properly reformed while in a custody. So there is adequate protection for minors who are facing criminal prosecution in Nigeria. And the fact that somebody is a minor does not, it is only somebody that is below 7 years in Nigeria that cannot face criminal trial. Such a person under the criminal laws of Nigeria is totally incapable of being held responsible for any criminal offense. That is below 7 years. But if it is between 7 to 12, if the prosecutor is able to establish that he knows what he's doing, Supreme Court has heard he can be convicted. And if he's above 12 years, he can be held criminally responsible. So obviously, there is no other than falsehood that somebody will become a criminal, a minor, and he will be doing all manner of atrocity, and he will not be able to be brought to book in Nigeria. That is not an excuse. It is once, and those we are seen on camera. There is nobody we are seen on camera from what we have seen from that video clip that is below 7 years.
All right. So, in your opinion, would you say the bail amount of 10 million naira each is excessive, considering the minor's age and the health conditions, and of course, looking at what we saw at the court yesterday with the fainting and them looking so malnourished? Do you feel the 10 million naira is excessive? 10 million naira bail, I beg your pardon.
Bail is at the discretion of the court. Now, when a court grants you bail for a fixed sum of money, it is not as if that money will be paid to court. It is for you to produce a surety who can pay such amount of money to the court in case you cannot be found. It is not as if the surety is going to pay the money. It's to have such person who have such standing to be able to pay such a money. And simply, when they depose on affidavit of means that they can pay the 12 million naira, the court will release them to such a person. Very stringent bail would have included provision of certificate of occupancy, provision of grade level so officer. Those are very stringent and may be very difficult to perfect. But to say 10 million naira is just an affidavit of means that the surety need to depose to. So it's not stringent, it's not excessive. Is to make sure that credible people, person who can be held responsible, stand surety for those minor. It's not as if they are paying the 10 million naira to the court custody. I think that is the misconception the public might have in respect of such bail condition.
All right, so thank you so much for being a part of the news. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure coming on here.
All right, and that is Titiloye Charles, the former Attorney General of Ondo State and a human rights lawyer. Now moving on to the rest of the stories. The coalition of northern groups, CNJ, has condemned the detention of numerous Nigerians, many of whom are minors under 18 who have been held for more than 90 days before finally being arraigned in an Abuja High Court on Friday. Recall that the NBAD government protesters were arraigned by the police at the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday. Jamilu Charanchi, the national coordinator of the coalition, in a statement issued and signed in Abuja, criticized the detention and arraignment of the vulnerable, malnourished children, stating that it exposes a government seemingly intent on damaging Nigeria's image internationally by displaying gross inhumanity. According to the CNG, the ongoing detention and mistreatment of minors violates their fundamental right, including freedom of expression and assembly, and is a blatant misuse of power and disregard for the welfare of young citizens. It added that the treatment of these children underscores a serious failure by state actors to prioritize the right of vulnerable citizens, particularly minors who are advocating for a better future. The CNG emphasized that these children should be seen as victims of state neglect, and systemic failure, adding that they reflected a society that has failed to provide them with the necessary leadership and support for growth into responsible adults. President Bola Tinubu has been advised to call the Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike to order following the indiscriminate demolition of buildings in Sabon Lube, Abuja. The victims and other concerned stakeholders have also asked the President to look into the recent demolition exercise in the area. Barrister Kanu, who spoke with Judiciary Correspondent on behalf of the Victims and Home Builders Association of Nigeria, maintained that the minister has breached court order, noting that property worth over 200 billion naira were demolished on the order of the FCT minister, even when he knew, lamenting that pulling down of houses at Sabon Lube area of Abuja had rendered over 100 families homeless. Barrister Kalu Agu insisted that the demolition was illegal because the owners and residents of the affected area have title document. Agu explained that upon becoming aware of the move by the FCT minister, the affected house owners filed a case against him at the High Court of the FCT and that all necessary court papers were duly served to the minister.
It's already before the court. Why are they rush community? We are calling well-meaning Nigerians to get into this matter.
Elated by ease of screening and appointment confirmation given them by the Senate, the 7 ministerial nominee commitment to the renewed appreciated the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, for guiding them aright. The presidential aide, according to the ministers designate, facilitated their ease of screening and appointment confirmation. Specifically, the designated Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Udumegu Ojukwu, who spoke on behalf of others, said he navigated them through the entire process very comfortably. They declared their readiness to work tirelessly in conformity with the Renew Hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu administration, while they solicited the support of all Nigerians in this regard. The 6 other ministers designate are the expression of appreciation gathering where Dr. Nentawe Yilwata, Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Muhammadu Megari Dingyadi, Labor and Employment, Dr. Jumoke Uduwole, Industry, Trade and Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Livestock Development, Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Suwaiba Said Ahmed, designated Minister of State for Education. The Practitioners of Content Creators and Influencers Guild of Nigeria has reiterated commitment to sanitize any professionalize the content. GN Michael Nwabufo made the indication at the signing of MOU with the National Information Standards and Media Authority NISMA in Abuja. Nwabufo said the Memorandum of Understanding is pertinent to fostering educational initiatives, best practices in digital content, and the establishment of training programs, clear guidelines, and increased support for the creators, enabling them to maintain public trust and upholding values that benefit society as a whole.
Fastest growing industry in Nigeria, and the government are underlooking this area of growth, and then we and NISMA, we have decided to partner so that we can grow and bring more people to understand and learn, get satisfied, and become professional content creators in Nigeria.
On his part, the national coordinator of NISMA, Isaac Christian, highlighted the significant economic impact of content creators, noting that content creation is a key driver of economic growth and significantly increased workforce among the youth. Hence, the need for government support to build a social media.
Because content creators or creative economy has contributed, and if we overlook at it just the way government is overlooking at it, that means unemployment will also keep going. COVID-19 have really told us more or given us sector. So it becomes expedient that professional certification comes in so that we can build a social media excellent or also build a professional content creators in the digital space.
You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News, and coming up next. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde calls on all main opposition parties in the southwest to embrace genuine reconciliation in the zone. Details of these and more will come to you shortly. Please stay with us. We're glad to have you back now. For more updates and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect with us on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTVNews. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Remember to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Galaxy TV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live update and comment, as you can easily scan our IG QR code. It has been observed that for Nigeria to address perennial flooding in part of the country, Nigeria must commit towards constructing more dams as well as desilt old ones. Director of Dams and Reservoirs Operations, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, Engineer Ali Ibrahim Dala, made this known when the Interministerial Technical Committee on the Evaluation of Dams visited the Oyon Dam in Abeokuta, Ondo State capital. Correspondent John Felix completes the story.
Every year, parts of Nigeria are ravaged by flood due to the overflow of the riverbanks and dams. This development, which keeps reoccurring, has displaced many of their homes and valuables. Concerned by this development, the team lead for Technical Subcommittee of the Interministerial Technical Committee on the Evaluation of Dams in Nigeria visited the Oyon Dam in Abeokuta. Speaking to newsmen, the team lead expressed satisfaction on the level of work done at the dam. He said to tackle efficiently the problem of flooding across the country, there is a need to construct more dams.
So far, so good. We've gone around the project, the dam. We have seen the salient features of the dam, ranging from the slope, downstream and upstream, the hydro-electromechanical equipment, the spillway, which is gated, and other features that are of importance for the purpose of this dam. See, Nigeria up to this moment does not have the required dams, number of dams to in fact control flooding in Nigeria. Dams essentially control floods, and the more we have in number, the more the control becomes. What we have, sincerely speaking, from the reservoir itself, you could see that a vast volume of water contained there is also a means of controlling flow downward.
Speaking further, the team lead said dams are essentially built to control flooding, as they help in holding down large water for gradual release when such water won't cause flooding. He noted that government is committed towards addressing the issue of flooding across the country.
For us to control flood adequately in Nigeria, we need more dams. We also need to desilt some of our aged dams because dams have been there for a long while, and as a result, sediments have deposited. So we also need to desilt most of these our dams. And also the rivers. We need to also desilt the rivers to remove debris and things like that in order to provide more channel capacity, so that the excess flow from the river that overflows this bank and cause flooding will be averted. More dams are required, and I always give example of some developed countries that have gone ahead of us, like the US. US have at the moment 92,000 dams, and China has about 98,000 dams. But in Nigeria, we have only 408 registered dams.
With the construction of more dams, the issue of flooding may be a thing of the past in Nigeria. From Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
Before the discovery of oil, Nigeria was referred to as an agrarian state because of its dependence on agriculture. Today, the reverse is the case, as agriculture, which was once taught on a practical level in schools, have since been a thing of the past. In this report, our correspondent Dele Fason takes a look at the benefit of agriculture practical training in schools and the benefits to the Nigerian economy. The report.
One of the remedies in the fight against hunger in Nigeria today is food sufficiency. This can only be achieved if more people embrace farming, with the federal government taking the lead by taking it to schools in the grassroots. A farmer and a director of agricultural studies harp on the need for government to take the lead in ensuring students take to farming.
That we should not begin to... Our education system is faulty. That is why we are having this problem. Immediately oil came, we thought that money is everything. But we now discover that money is nothing. Each of them should behave like the people of Malaysia. Once you give birth to a child, the first thing is give the child a small plot and let him plant oil palms. And then in 6 years, the oil palms start to produce. And the child will now carry himself. He will be a millionaire. If you don't want to hunger, please, let every one of you learn from this how to plant. Plant on the land and eat the food from the land.
So if every Nigeria is into agriculture, then this problem will be solved. We've been saying this theoretically, but today we feel that since we have this farm close to us, we should bring them for them to see for themselves what they stand to gain once they're able to bring up something like this. No, these are secondary school students from GSS to SS. It's never too young. They are not too young. They can understand, and it's always better to start early.
Some students who took part in the agricultural training of contributing their quota in food sufficiency expressed their views on the gains.
I've learned that agriculture is a very important, it's just like an occupation that we can learn, and with agriculture we don't need to worry about food products and the rest, and about buying things from the market. We can farm our own food in our land, and Nigeria land is fertilized, and we can farm without worrying about anything. And secondly, I've learned that the desire to become doctors, engineers, all those kind of occupation is not really important. What is important is farming.
I learned basic education. I learned farming education, and I learned that when farming brings food to people, and we can use co-ops we can harvest co-ops to feed ourselves and other people.
Here on excursion to know all about agriculture and its farm produce. I've learned that we no need for us for learning other stuff. We can go into agriculture and help the country in their food problem.
Although the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, had in different forums charged schools from the primary level to embrace farm training, government on its part must match words with action in ensuring the exercise is not in futility. From Delta State, Daily Fast reporting for Galactic TV News.
Governor Basani of Kaduna State has advised elected local government chairmen to ensure the dividends of democracy are distributed equitably without prejudice to political affiliation, gender, religion, belief, or ethnic background. The governor, who stated this during the swearing-in ceremony of the chairman at the council chambers of Kashim Ibrahim House in Kaduna, he also enjoined them to be transparent and accountable in handling of public finances. Sani reminded the local government chairmen that they are taking charge as captains of local government when the third tier of government has been granted financial autonomy.
We are assuming office at a critical time when our people expect a great deal from politicians and leaders. It is your responsibility to restore their faith in politics and local governance. Ensure that the dividends of democracy are equitably distributed without prejudice to political affiliation, gender, religious belief, or ethnic background. Also, you are taking charge as captains of local governments when the third tier of government has been granted financial autonomy.
Government will be putting eyes to ensure that every resource given to the local government is judiciously.
Yeah, the people of Kajuru should expect the best from me. We are going to improve on security, agriculture, education, and health.
Going forward, inshallah, we are going to witness, a new era in Soba local government. We have already put in place a blueprint which will significantly impact on the common.
And in the rural economy, especially in Kaduna State, our economy is agrarian, and therefore we will look for opportunities in agriculture. It may also.
My name is Dauda Madaki.
Well, I'm Mohamed Laoshew, the newly elected and newly sworn in chairman of Soba local government.
My name is Manzo Daniel Megari from Kachia local government.
Deliberate and sustainable planning has been the watchword of the Edo State government of lives and property. These were the words of the Edo State Governor Gordon Obaseki during the commissioning of the Edo Environment Hub, which houses the regional development plan of the governor. Governor Obaseki said businesses now thrive in the state as a result of the enabling environment of doing business.
When people say Edo is thriving, people are coming to Edo, flights are full, hotels are full. Why do you think they are coming? Because we've provided security of lives and property, particularly property. You buy land today in Edo, you know the land is yours, because you can quickly go and register it and get a title document. Anybody who goes to buy that same land without going to check is on their own.
He advised Edo people to ensure that they get the certificate of occupancy to enable them secure the property.
Facts about CFO. First, it's in an environment where the law is not as formed as the way it should be, particularly enforcement of law. It's always good to secure yourself. So if you have something and you don't have proof of ownership, It's like having a car and you don't have a proof of ownership of the car. Somebody can stop you tomorrow and say, this is my car, leave, get out of my car. The same thing as land. If you own land, you bought land, then one of the most ideal forms of evidence of ownership has to be your title, the C of O.
Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has called on institutions in the state to shun cultism and all forms of vices. The governor made the disclosure when he received members of the Governing Council of Saro-Wiwa Polytechnic at the Government House in Port Harcourt. Governor Fubara summoned the Governing Council to find a lasting solution to the cult-related clashes in the institution. According to him, the educational system has lost values, hence the need to check the activities of cultists. Responding, the chairman of the Governing Council, Professor Rosaline Kunyo, said they will carry out the governor's instruction by ensuring values are maintained.
One of the problems we have in the society today is because we have lost the aim of value. We don't have what we call value system anymore. People that are being celebrated are cultists. People that are being celebrated are people who causes problem one way or the other. It's no longer where we say, oh, we're looking at excellence. We're looking at good characters. Please ensure that the stories we hear about that polytechnic, we don't want it anymore.
So there is no reason why we shouldn't do what you've asked us to do. The polytechnic is very, very important for us to develop. We will get there and assess what is on ground, and we'll let you know, the governor, what is in there and how we can improve what is going on.
Factional Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, loyal to Governor Fubara, Honorable Victor Okojumbo, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to conduct a by-election to fill the vacant seat of the 27 lawmakers loyal to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Honorable Jumbo made this known at a press briefing in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. According to the factional speaker, since the order restraining INEC have been struck out, it has to do the needful by conducting a by-election.
The only impediment to INEC conducting a by-election to fill the 27 vacant seats in the Rivers State House of Assembly was the order of interlocutory injunction restraining INEC from conducting a by-election. Now that suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/1681/2023 has been struck out, the order of interlocutory injunction is also spent.
Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has called on all main opposition parties in the Southwest to embrace genuine reconciliation in the zone as the United Southwest will foster a united Nigeria, while cautioning those seeking to stir up discord in the parties for their personal gains to desist. Makinde urged that no attempt by the ruling party to disrupt the party would succeed if members remain united and determined. The governor gave the charge at the commissioning of a new Southwest Zonal Office in Ibadan, named after the party's Southwest Zonal Vice Chairman. Also in his remarks, Osun State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke described the structure as a major administrative hub for the party in the Southwest, urging members to forget about the past and focus on building strong structures across the nation. In his remarks, Ambassador Ilyas Damagum encouraged other zones to emulate the gesture of unity in the southwest, stressing that even in the face of tough socio-economic challenges in the country, the zone is moving on.
The ruling party, that they are the ones putting their hands into all other parties to ensure that they don't get their hearts together so that there will be no opposition in 2027. My own position is there are certain things that you have under your own control. Whether me and Governor Adeleke will cooperate for the growth and benefit of our party in the southwest state, it is beyond the ruling party. It is between me and Governor Adeleke.
We must forget the past of division and unite for the good of our dear party. It is better for us to fight each other inside the government house than outside. We must refocus attention on building strong administrative operation structures.
Call on our brothers from other zones, because to me you have thrown a challenge to all other zones to emulate this kind of gesture, to repeat it across the zone.
Medical professionals in Nigeria have been admonished to uphold the ethics of the profession regardless of the current state of the health sector. This call was made known by the guest lecturer, Dr. Jibril Salahuddin, at the 2024 Scientific Conference of the Islamic Medical Association of Nigeria Ogun State Branch, held in Abeokuta, the state capital. Speaking to newsmen, the guest lecturer admonished members of the association to contribute significantly to the nation's growth by assisting the community that find themselves rather than leave the country to seek greener pastures elsewhere. He called on medical professionals to remain focused as well as keep to their calling of rendering selfless service. On his part, the Ogun State Iman Chairman Dr. Ibrahim Olajide urged government to do more to retain doctors who have chosen to stay back in the country. He called on government to improve doctors' wages and remuneration.
Ethics is something that must be upheld at all times by medical professional. Not just medical professional, but even the entire, anybody that is placed in a position of trust across Nigeria. But for the medical profession, more profound, because they hold the gate to serious ethics. And one of the things we have urged them to do is to ensure that they remain ethical. They should not be dissuaded by money. They should not be dissuaded by other bad behavior in the society. They should keep up that ethics that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed up on them and has made it compulsory on them to uphold.
We need to do more to retain those people so that, because it's really affecting the existing healthcare delivery. Now, for those of us that are still around, I want to encourage you. Of course, many of us also have the opportunity to travel, but it's our decision to stay back and help our people. So we should stay and build this country together. When we stay and do what we need to do, we rescue the situation. I'm very sure those that have gone out will also find reason to come back.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has restored full power supply through the Gombe-Damaturu-Maiduguri 330 kV transmission line. Power supply was fully restored on Gombe-Damaturu line and on the Damaturu-Maiduguri, a part of the line. Record at Tower 372 along the 330 kV transmission line was vandalized on September 22, 2024. According to the General Manager, Public Affairs of the company in Didimba, the vandalized tower was rebuilt and the stringing of the line was completed on the 23rd of October 2024 at about 12:48 p.m. It added that TCN was, however, unable to immediately restore bulk power supply through the line due to the vandalism of the Ugwaji Appeal transmission line, while power supply has, however, been fully restored along the Gombe-Damaturu-Maiduguri 330 kV transmission line. The company therefore called on the public to join in the fight against power installation vandalism to safeguard the future of electricity in Nigeria, adding that they should report suspicious activities around transmission installations to security operatives or TCN officers nationwide. A former Delta State Deputy Governor, Professor Amos Utuama San, is dead. Professor Utuama, who was a Deputy Governor between 2007 to 2015, passed on after protracted illness. The Senior Advocate of Nigeria, San, passed on in the early hours of Saturday in Lagos. He was a deputy to former Governor Emmanuel Uduaghan, where he served for 8 years with Uduaghan on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). The late Professor Utuama was also the Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General of Delta State under the administration of former Governor James Ibori. The entire Unigbongbo Local Council Development Area (LCDA) has been thrown into mourning over the sudden death of the chairman Oladotun Olakunle. He was aged 54. Olakunle is reported to have died in the early hours of Saturday, November 2nd, 2024, with the cause of his death could not be confirmed at the first time. However, his administration distributed vehicles to police formations and NSCDC in his council area on Friday, 1st November 2024, an exercise he performed personally without any trait of fatigue or sickness. It was also gathered that his final outing before his demise was at the burial party for the late All Progressive Congress APC chieftain Dr. Adeshola Taiwo, Chief Executive Officer of Adefemi Taiwo Hospital on Thursday, 31st October 2024. Recall that this will make it the second time a sitting council boss in Unigbongbo LCDA will die in office during their second term. Olakunle's predecessor, Babatunde Oke, also died in office deep into his second term. He died as a result of COVID-19 complications. And now we'll move over to the foreign desk for more news. Hello and welcome to the foreign news. Spain's Prime Minister has ordered 5,000 more troops and 5,000 police officers and civil guards to the Valencia region as residents criticize local authorities over the response to catastrophic flooding. The death toll on Saturday rose to 211 people, with most fatalities in and around Valencia, Pedro Sanchez announced. The toll is expected to rise further. Heavy rains that began on Monday caused floods that destroyed bridges and covered towns in mud, cutting off communities and leaving them without water, food or electricity. Sanchez said the deployment of emergency services and the army was Spain's largest in peacetime in response to one of the worst floods in Europe this century. Weather warnings remain in force in northeastern and southern Spain through Sunday, while another was issued in the Balearic Island for Saturday. Around 1,700 soldiers were already working on search and rescue operations in the Valencia region, although hope of finding more survivors is dwindling. The final phase of a two-stage polio vaccination campaign has started in North Gaza, the World Health Organization said. The second phase was postponed in October by UN agencies due to intense Israeli bombardment, mass displacement and lack of access in the region. Gaza recorded its first case of polio in 2025 in August, which left a baby boy paralyzed and prompted to the rollout of the program. The immunizations are resuming as 15 UN and humanitarian organizations have described the situation in North Gaza as apocalyptic, nearly a month after an Israeli ground offensive began. A humanitarian pause in the fighting has been agreed upon to allow vaccinations to restart in Gaza City, the WHO said. The campaign will run for 3 days. About 15,000 children under 10 years old in towns across North Gaza such as Jabalia, Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun still remain inaccessible and will be missed by the vaccination campaign, compromising its effectiveness, the agency said. The WHO had aimed to give 119,000 children in the area a second dose of the oral polio vaccine. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned Israel and the United States of crushing a response for actions against Iran and its allies, according to state media. Khamenei, 85, made the remarks on Saturday while addressing students ahead of the anniversary of the 1979 takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran by hardline students, which cemented the decade-long enmity between Tehran and Washington that persists today. The enemies, whether the Zionist regime or the United States of America, will definitely receive a crushing response to what they are doing to Iran and the Iranian nation to the resistant front, Khamenei said in the capital Tehran. Also referring to Iran-aligned formed groups that includes Yemen's Houthis, Lebanon Hezbollah and the Palestinian Hamas. The Supreme Leader did not elaborate on the timing of any attack or the scope. He had previously struck a more cautious approach, saying officials would weigh Iran's response and that Israel's attack should not be exaggerated or downplayed after the Israeli military launched strikes last week on military bases in Iran, hitting about over several hours in Ilam. And still on foreign news, Mauritius has cut access to all social media platforms until November 11, a day after its upcoming general election. The move came amid a wire-taping scandal and even as the opposition raised the alarm about an alleged ploy by the governing party to avoid defeat at the polls. The Indian Ocean Island nation's communications regulator ordered all internet service providers to suspend access to social media until November 11 in response to illegal postings. The office of Prime Minister Pravin Jugnauth said the restrictions were necessary to preserve national security and integrity following the publication of certain audio clips, but the opposition in Mauritius said the ban was a political move aimed at avoiding defeat in the November 10 election, with the Prime Minister looking to extend his rule and hold his party's parliamentary majority. Another member of the coalition said the opposition is discussing potential legal moves and is ready to act politically as it seeks to prevent the re-election of the militant socialist movement. India has denied that Home Minister Amit Shah plotted to target Sikh activists in Canadian soil as it criticized Canada over the absurd and baseless allegations. Shah, who is 60 years, oversees India's internal security forces as Home Minister. He is viewed as the country's second most powerful person after Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On Saturday, Randhir Jaiswal, spokesman of India's Ministry of External Affairs, told journalists in New Delhi had summoned the representative of the Canadian High Commission and lodged a strong protest. The government of India protests in the strongest terms to the absurd and baseless references about Shah, Jaiswal said by Canada's Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister David Morrison. The Canadian minister told the National Security Committee that the government considers Shah the architect of the campaign against Sikh separatists in the country, which included the assassination of an activist. The Canadian government has accused India of orchestrating the 2023 killing in Kankovwa of 45-year-old naturalized Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh, a prominent Khalistan campaigner. Finally, on foreign news, the United States Supreme Court has dismissed an effort by Republicans to prevent the counting of provincial ballots in Pennsylvania, a move that would have meant thousands of votes were not tallied. Republicans in the state, which Joe Biden and the Democrat narrowly won in the 2020 U.S. presidential election on their way to victory, had argued that tens of thousands of votes could be at stake and ought to have been rejected. Reports suggested that as of late this week, somewhere close to 9,000 ballots out of more than 1.6 million were returned as they had arrived at election offices around Pennsylvania, lacking a secrecy envelope, a signature or a date. The ruling is a victory for voting rights advocates who are trying to force various counties, especially Republican-controlled counties, to allow voters to cast a provisional ballot on election day if they had realized their mail-in ballots was to be rejected for any of variety of errors. Provisional ballots generally protect voters from being excluded from the voting process if their eligibility is uncertain on election day. The vote is counted once officially confirmed eligible. And that's all we have on the foreign news. And that's all we have on Galaxy Primetime News. Thank you so much for being a part of the news. My name is Nenwa Ngimazaka. Goodbye.